one of the functions of AI is I know exactly what I want to buy. Like, this is the item that I want. And maybe I got that from AI, right? So for like more of a lifestyle purchase, it's like, I want this thing that's quite expensive. Please tell me what to buy. I spend 4 hours researching it, talking to my friends, reading Reddit, watching YouTube videos, and yes, of course, conversing with ChatGPT or something else. And then I decide what I want. And once that decision has been made, then it kind of goes into this, kind of one step up of impulse. It's not an impulse buy, but it's like, I want that SKU. This is the exact item that I want. Find it for me, cheapest shipping, lowest cost, best warranty, whatever it is that I want. In fact, even here are my 5 different credit cards. I don't know who's going to give me the best cash back. I don't have time to figure that out. I value my time more than my money. Boom, go.
Welcome to the Retailgentic Podcast, where we explore the intersection of retail, e-commerce, and AI agents, which we call Retailgentic. Our mission is simple. We are shining a bright light on the new Agentic AI shopping megatrend, which will disrupt the $1 trillion digital retail market. The stakes are high. Google, OpenAI, Microsoft, Perplexity, Amazon, Apple, Meta, and Anthropic are all fighting to be the consumer AI shopping agent winner. There are going to be some tough decisions for online brands and retailers to make. What happens to checkout? How should payments work? Should you continue to invest in retail media networks? What does the world look like when over half of your traffic is not from humans, but from AI agents? These existential questions are the tip of the iceberg. On this podcast, we're talking to industry experts, analysts, and influencers to get answers to these questions, identify trends, and best practices. This is Retailgentic, your podcast partner in navigating our AI shopping agent future. And now here's your host, Scot Wingo.
Welcome to the Retailgentic Podcast. As we head into this long holiday Labor Day weekend, we have a special treat for you. This is a perfect podcast to listen to on a drive or whatever you have coming up. Maybe you'll be on a flight. I am a bit of a slower talker, but our guest is a fast talker. So I think you want this one on 1x. I wouldn't flirt with 2x on this one. Anyway, on today's pod, I am excited to host Alex Rampell. He is the general partner at Andreessen Horowitz, where he heads up their billion-dollar fund that focuses on the application layer. The reason I asked Alex on the pod is to talk to us about Andreessen Horowitz's thinking behind the recent piece, Is Google Screwed? Maybe, but not how you think. We featured this on last week's Agentic Commerce Roundup in the Substack, and Alex was kind enough to come on and give us a little bit more color about what inspired the piece, some questions I had about it, and where he sees Agentic Commerce going. Alex has the bona fides to talk about this. He has very deep experience in e-commerce. I first ran into him when he was at TrialPay. He also started this firm called Affirm, and he has many other experiences in the world of e-commerce, digital payments, etc. He walks us through the background of how he got to Andreessen Horowitz, and then we jump into a wide-ranging discussion of where he thinks agentic commerce is today, why he thinks a agentic camel application is the next logical killer app, and finally, where does he see agentic commerce going? I hope you enjoy this conversation and have a great long weekend. Alex, welcome to the Retailgentic Podcast.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me, Scott.
Yeah, I really appreciate you taking time. You're super busy. Let's do an abbreviated version of your background. You and I are reminiscing in the green room, and we've known each other for at least 13 years. So you've been in e-commerce for a while, and like many of the folks at A16Z, they really like partners that have an operational background. So tell us how you cut your chops on e-commerce.
Yeah, so this is a term that will date me, but you will probably know this term. I used to write shareware, try before you buy software, in the 90s, and that was all checks in the mail. So you would upload a product, like I had all these different products, and I'd upload them to different bulletin boards around the country, as well as the AOL file library, the CompuServe file library, and then if you were lucky, PC Magazine would include a floppy disk every now and then, and they'd include like a bundle of shareware, and all of that was, if you like the product, please send a check. And then if I got the check, I would send you a code. and then the code would unlock the product. And they were kind of all, you just have these annoying reminders until you paid. And sometimes it was just like straight up honor system. This was kind of honor system and reminders or annoyances. So that's actually how I got into credit card processing. And then I figured out how to process credit cards in the mid 90s on the internet, which seems there was no Stripe back then. So it was a little challenging, but got into that. And then started a venture-backed company called SiteAdvisor, which was a web security product. And for both that company and for all of my shareware, people didn't like to pay. They like getting, you're happy to pay for a glass of wine or for a golf ball or something tangible and physical, but most people don't like paying for digital goods like my shareware or like this $20 security software product. So I had this idea of I'll give it to you for free if you try something else. And that's how I really learned about the affiliate model. I had known about affiliate marketing for a while, but basically, go sign up for Netflix and we'll give you this product for free. Go shop at the Gap, we'll give you this product for free. That was all powered by affiliates, or we became one of the biggest affiliates in the world. And I started a company called TrialPay that basically commercialized this concept because I had done it for my shareware. I had done it at this other company, SiteAdvisor, like why everybody should want this. And our first client became this company called WinZip. Everybody would download WinZip. Nobody wanted to pay for WinZip. Soon, they were making $1 million a year from this little thing. It's like, it's a good idea. So I raised venture capital for that. Ran that company for about 8 years. Sold that to Visa. And Visa had good plans for it, but they have too good of a monopoly business for their core. So unfortunately, it didn't really go that far. And then also started another company called Affirm, the buy now, pay later company. So Max Levchin, who's the CEO of Affirm, I was trying to get him as a client for TrialPay, failed miserably, but he was the one social gaming company that kind of didn't use TrialPay. That was kind of our big sweet spot was people that don't want to pay for social games. Guess what? They'll sign up for Netflix. They'll switch to Geico. They'll shop at the Gap. That's what we did. So then he and I cooked up this idea that became Affirm, and then I joined Andreessen Horowitz about 10 years ago in 2015. Because I brought Affirm and 2 other companies that I kind of helped start to Andreessen Horowitz, and it's like, all right, might as well kind of take my hooky job, take my like part-time job and make it a full-time job by investing in companies. So have been here for about 10 years.
The side hustle became the full hustle.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I was poking around on the A16Z site, and it says you are leading the firm's $1 billion apps practice. What is an apps practice? Is this like iPhone games?
No, so I mean, it's basically if you look at the history of technology, at least since the PC came out, there's always like an infrastructure layer and an application layer. So if you look back early, like what was the infrastructure layer? It was all the programming, like all the compiler companies like Borland or MS-DOS. That was an infrastructure company. And Microsoft was an infrastructure company. The application companies were the applications written on top of that. When the internet came out, like the canonical application layer companies were like Amazon and eBay and Yahoo, these companies that got very, very big in the mid 90s. The infrastructure layer was like Cisco and Akamai, like down to the pickaxe and shovel plays. So the way that we've divided up our venture practice is we have the infrastructure layer. So think, what is OpenAI? That's an infrastructure company. They actually do work directly with consumers, but then there are lots of application layer companies that are built on top. And it's kind of this age-old question of like, where will value accrue? Does it go to the infrastructure layer? Like everybody wants to be pickaxes and shovels, but if there are too many people selling pickaxes and shovels, you actually want to be the gold miner. And kind of find your gold. So the way that we're divided up is we have applications, which is kind of think of it as anything B2B or B2C. If it's a B2B or B2C like thing, then that's application. If it's selling to developers, that's a very, very different motion. Or if you're selling to people with like, if you have a mega PhD and you're selling to other people that have mega PhDs, it's probably less about did you figure out your go-to-market prowess, or do you have a great go-to-market plan? And this is kind of the saying that I've used for a long time, which is the battle between every startup and incumbent is whether the startup gets the distribution before the incumbent gets the innovation. But if you've figured out how to split the atom, kind of doesn't matter about your distribution strategy. Like you can just kind of commercialize your super geniusness. Whereas at the application layer, that's almost like a secondary thing. It's like you have to find some real problem, but you really have to figure out how to sell it. And it's that latter point that's actually more important.
Got it. Okay, very cool. So one of the reasons I reached out to you is you wrote this really good article, you and a colleague, and it was called "Is Google Screwed? Maybe, but not how you think." So maybe like before we get into that, like what led you? Is this a space you guys? Obviously here we're somewhat obsessed with a very myopic focus on this intersection of e-commerce and agentic, agentic commerce, for lack of a better phrase. And we've got some theories on that we've been talking about on the Substack. But curious, like, do you guys have a theme here, or even you personally, or what got you interested in this general space?
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, Google is the original. I talk about this in the piece, obviously, but Google is the original freemium business model where they don't make money most of the time. They make a lot of money some of the time. And I think there are kind of three intersecting trends that kind of actually come back from my early career. That's why I thought it was relevant to mention affiliates. How do you get paid? Actually, there's like this long running battle that you're very, very familiar with is how do you attribute credit for a sale? So somebody buys a car, BMW advertised or bought, paid for product placement in the James Bond movie that you saw 25 years ago, and that's why you wanted the BMW. And like part of the attribution for the credit for the sale goes back then. Part of it is also the dealer and or like the actual sales guy at the dealer who like convinced you to buy this car and not that car. Part of it's that Google ad that you clicked on. Like there's many, many, many things that kind of make a synapse fire in your brain in a certain way to go buy something. And what's interesting about Google is, I was really, really, I found it fascinating when Google stock had I think it was like a 5 to 7% drop in one day on the heels of Eddie Q's testimony that actually they started seeing search volume drop. But then fast forward a couple months, he wasn't lying about that. It's like it dropped. But fast forward a couple months, Google's revenues and profits were stronger than ever. And it's not like, the one part of revenue was up and the other part was down. The search profits are up. So how do you square that? And it kind of makes sense, which is, what we lay out in the piece, which is, the first thing to fall is these non-commercial intent searches. And then meanwhile, like OpenAI and others are making a big deal about how they are going to hopefully bring agentic AI to commerce. And then that actually goes back to affiliate marketing, right? It's like, well, if you're going to recommend, you can't just say, you're not going to have like little tracking pixels and cookies, which is how affiliate commerce has been adjudicated for 30 years. Like, how is OpenAI going to get paid? And then let's design an ontology, if you will, for commerce writ large. And what I mean by that is like buying something is not buying something. And that's where we try to lay out, there's the highly impulse buy. And that's the, like, I'm in line at the supermarket and I end up buying a Snickers bar, even though I know I shouldn't. And they place those things strategically. These are called end caps in retail terms, but even just the checkout line itself is filled with things that you should never buy. You weren't even planning on buying it.
They're usually at a kid level too, so if you go with your kids, they can grab the.
Exactly. The sugar is down there, and like the magazines are at the top or something. It's like they know their audience very, very well. And then on the other end of that, you have things that but I think are commonly referred to as highly considered purchases. So nobody's ever going to buy a $10 million house on a Google AdWord, like, ooh, click on this ad and then buy house. These highly considered purchases are probably, AI will take a role potentially on those two extremes but I think de minimis, because almost tautologically, if it's something that you aren't looking for, well, you're not going to go to ChatGPT to buy something you aren't looking for because you're not looking for it, so you're not going to go there. And then if it's highly, highly, highly considered, you might have an input in terms of like, where should I live? Let me ask ChatGPT or let me ask one of these AI agents. But when it comes to actually, adjudicating the credit for the sale, as I mentioned, it's probably not going to be like, I'm going to click and buy this right within an AI chat or use an AI agent for that. It's going to be part of the equation, but certainly will not be the last click. So that kind of leaves three different forms of commerce that I would call roughly in the middle. And I think I mentioned this in the piece as well. Like the site that my job as a venture capitalist is actually in more respects to kind of articulate the present more so than predict the future. It's like, oh, here's what's actually happening right now. And the entrepreneurs are predicting the future and hopefully building the future. Let's bet on something that already that consumers already want. And there are some of these things that consumers have shown an appreciation for. And this is why I talk about Camel, Camel, Camel as my favorite site in the universe, because Camel, Camel, Camel is like a poor man's AI pre-AI. It's like, hey, I will buy things when they are cheap. Please let me know when they are cheap. Okay. Well, that's what Camel, Camel, Camel does. It's like, I want, Coke Zero, but I don't want to pay 70 cents a can. When it goes down to 50 cents a can on Amazon, send me an email alert. I'm going to click on that email alert. What am I going to do with it? I'm going to buy. So you have this process where like you, the human, are the agent. Like clearly that is something that if I just say, buy it for me, like people already do steps 1 through 9 in that process. They will do step 10 of purchase as well. So I think it's trying to figure out, like, take commerce, which is enormous. I think 16% of commerce is e-commerce. So still regular offline commerce, much bigger than e-commerce. But what are the different parts that potentially are addressable by AI today? Which are the what's missing? I think this is a really, really big part. And the thing to me that's missing the most is actually, I don't think this is, we need AI to get smarter. The data is actually quite weak, because if I want to know what product XYZ to buy, well, the problem for the last 25 years of the web is it's been polluted with these affiliate websites, and I was guilty of this as well because I did a lot of stuff in affiliate. But the search engine optimization and all the content that's been developed around commerce and around affiliate marketing is not necessarily what I would call Consumer Reports in the 1990s. And if you know Consumer Reports, this is a famous magazine that would not, it's a nonprofit, doesn't take advertising, just wants to do, it's like the Ralph Nader of consumer reviews, only wants to show the best product, say, don't buy this, do buy this, and you can trust the recommendations. Can you really trust the recommendations if every recommender is a paid shill? And the reason why is not necessarily, it's like, oh, maybe they are recommending the best products and getting credit, but the issue is the dog that didn't bark. They don't even show the products that don't pay affiliate commissions. So half of the reviews that therefore the AI is going to summarize for you are this. So if I want to buy the best blender, if I want to buy the best socks, if I want to buy the best this, and I ask AI, AI hasn't tried these things on. It can only summarize what is out there. And what is out there, unfortunately, a lot of it is conflicted, to take the least pejorative way of putting it. So I think there are a lot of, the goal of the piece was, we think that AI commerce is going to be huge. Absolutely. This is, Google makes all their money this way. It's a search engine. ChatGPT is a search engine that makes none of its money this way. Like, do they covet what Google has? Of course they do. Is Google going to lose this tomorrow? Like, no. Partially because there are many, many different things. Commerce is not just one catch-all. There are different forms of commerce. Instagram generates tons of commerce through these impulse buys or retargeting that they do. You were looking for something for a very, very long time. They might as well steal that last click. But there's a big area in the middle, and that's where like camel to me is kind of like patient zero of like, this is already a thing. It's going to be a bigger thing. And I'll stop talking in a second here, but maybe the last thing that I'll say is, I kind of think of the world in a binary of, there are people, like when it comes to shopping, there are people that value their money more than their time. And then there are people that value their time more than their money. And obviously there are more types of people than those two. But if you take that extreme, there are a lot of these things on the internet today that are designed for people that value money more than time. And these are all the cashback sites on the internet. And it kind of requires a technically astute cheapskate buyer. And I'm one of them. So I know this market well. And then, but there are a lot of people that just don't do those things. They don't try to save money. They don't try to use coupons. They don't try to do any of that. They would love to, but it just takes too much time. And their time is more valuable than their money. And this is the thing that I think AI will actually unlock, is that now, if it takes no time and it just saves you money, it's more of an IQ test. And I think more people will kind of gravitate towards these tools that have already been defined and in use for a very, very long time, that appeal to people that value their money more than their time. And now they're applicable to a much, much larger part of the audience. And that's one of the many things that AI and commerce is going to unlock.
Yeah, so you have your 5. The 3 in the middle are called routine essentials, lifestyle purchase, and functional. Which of those 3 do you think are the first to go? Like they'll start to get eaten up by agentic commerce?
Well, I think it's kind of, or maybe another way of putting it is, there is the, I know what SKU I want, Or anything that has a UPC. Like the reason why Wayfair has been successful post Amazon is they sell bar stools. They sell all sorts of things that don't have a universal product code on the bottom. So across those three, I mean, I think it is those three writ large, but the way that I would think about it is one of the functions of AI is I know exactly what I want to buy. Like this is the item that I want. And maybe I got that from AI, right? So for like more of a lifestyle purchase, it's like, I want this thing that's quite expensive. Please tell me what to buy. I spend 4 hours researching it, talking to my friends, reading Reddit, watching YouTube videos, and yes, of course, conversing with ChatGPT or something else. And then I decide what I want. And once that decision has been made, then it kind of goes into this, kind of one step up of impulse. It's not an impulse buy, but it's like, I want that SKU. This is the exact item that I want. Find it for me, cheapest shipping, lowest cost, best warranty, whatever it is that I want. In fact, even here are my 5 different credit cards. I don't know who's going to give me the best cash back. I don't have time to figure that out. I value my time more than my money. Boom, go. And it's actually that part that I think is going to be across those three, where AI becomes a much better co-pilot.
So you like the optimization piece, regardless of kind of the experience. Yeah, it works in every experience. Yeah, who wouldn't want it to be optimized, right?
Yes, exactly. Who wouldn't? And actually, there are a lot of people that don't want it to be optimized because, like, who has time for this? Like today, like I can
if it
go
does
to,
it for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go to Rakuten bought this company Ebates that flips the affiliate commission into cash back. Oh, maybe I should go to not Ebates, but like Mr. Cashback. I mean, there's so many of these sites that are out there and so many coupons, and like you could spend hours doing this, and some people love it. There's a whole site called slickdeals.net, which is kind of like filled with these people, and I would actually look to them first. It's like watch what they're doing, and whatever they're doing, everybody else is going to start doing once it becomes easy enough. But then for the, if you take like lifestyle purchase as an example, or anything where reviews are going to be a key part of the consideration process, there are some things where you have a magical experience with AI. And I call it a magical experience because I have a question, I get an answer. And it's like, holy moly, like that would have taken me like 2 days to figure out. My younger son, his holy moly moment was he realized he could use this to cheat on his homework. We were not very happy about that as parents. We found out about that several months later, but it's like, that's such a good experience. If you want to cheat, it's a great cheating tool. But if I want to cheat shopping, like, so kind of take that unfortunate metaphor, if I want to cheat and shop, well, if the reviews that I'm getting are not magical at all, but are just, again, kind of like still junk, I don't think AI actually gives you a good experience. And then if I'm like, okay, I got my shill junk, it's saying I should buy this product. Well, the optimization of buying that product will still be good, but that might not be the product that I should actually want to begin with. And of course, you could try to, just like there's page rank, and we wrote another piece about this, how like SEO might become GEO, right? Like search engine optimization. Is there an analog for the AI era? And there probably will be, but that will also then it's this kind of cat and mouse game between like Google knows that people have reverse engineered page rank and are buying, page rank 10 links and all these different things to try to get themselves, like if you're selling tennis rackets, there's so much value to being organic search result number one. And it's not based on the wonderfulness of your product or experience or site. Like a lot of people gain that. That's probably going to happen in AI as well. And this is a nascent industry. And I think at the end of it, for me, it's like the optimization piece, we'll see the most traction there. It's the more considered you get on the curve from impulse to considered. I would expect at least when people do attribution and say like, how much do I owe AI for this sale? The more considered that it is, I think it's just the less, because of many reasons. Like there are many different reasons why you buy that BMW, as I mentioned. But also sometimes the reviews that you're going to get from AI might not even be that helpful to begin with. And then the price optimization thing for like buying certain like more, highly considered purchases, it's very hard to close the loop and actually purchase those online end to end. Like try buying a non-Tesla car online. It's very, very hard. Try buying a house online. Like, I mean, you could kind of do that and that you go meet the broker, but no, you really can't. So the attribution will always be somewhat weak there.
How about, what about the rumors that ChatGPT is going to do kind of a hosted checkout, and in my mind, that makes it more of a marketplace where if they have the checkout, then you're gonna have to send them not only a data feed but like an inventory feed, just like selling on eBay, Amazon, etc. And then you're gonna have to get orders back. Do you think ultimately they care enough about commerce to go that direction?
I think absolutely. I mean, I think it would be crazy for them not to. If you have 700 million active users that have commerce intent, that have already, like many of whom have paid you, and like these searches are going to, I mean, I don't know, obviously, OpenAI's search volume or what people are searching for. They don't disclose this, but I bet people are searching for a lot of these commerce things. They probably end up at Google at the end. And this is one of the reasons why it's like there are fewer searches. If you need to do 10 searches to buy something, and Google only gets one search, and that search is like the absolute monetizable attribute, the commerce attributing search. That's probably what's happening right now. And the prior nine, some of those might be happening in ChatGPT. So it would be insane for them not to go consume that 10th search and keep you captive. And maybe the hook, I don't know what their hook is going to be, but maybe the hook is the optimization piece. Because you want to make sure that you don't do all of the work and get none of the credit. Which is a problem that the internet has had for a very long time. Lots of people do all the work, and then like the coupon set at the end takes all the credit. And this last click attribution we know is flawed. So, AI has not changed that. We haven't like somehow discovered how to do attribution better.
Yeah, and I didn't say it earlier, but shout out for the camel, camel, camel reference. I was reading the article, and I was like, "Oh, that's a deep cut." And I know everyone's gonna be like, "What is he talking about with camel, camel, camel?" That's funny.
Like I use Camel, like my wife, like it has millions of. It's probably, I think it's actually Amazon's biggest affiliate. It's like a real thing.
Yeah, yeah, it's got
And
like the cool chart, and you can kind of figure out what's going on. Yeah, it's awesome. Do you think do you think Apple gets in the game? It's kind of like when you start thinking about all the personalization that's going to happen. They know so much by being on device and Apple Pay and all the things. It feels like they're going to have to jump into this at some point.
I think they should. I mean, I think the fact that they own the wallet. I mean, there's the second layer of optimization. Oh, I'm buying a very expensive item. What card should I put that on? I have all this debt on my Capital One card paying 24%. Oh, I should just refinance that to Bank of America. They have a special rate at 16%, but it's too much work. A lot of these things where consumers are held back by inertia. And if you control the wallet, well, you reduce the inertia problem, hopefully to close to zero. But I would assume that Apple has their own issues around like they always kind of like to be the laggard. But I think in this case, they would not like to be the laggard around like how bad their AI stuff is. Like the fact that Siri can't figure out how to turn on the flashlight or answer anything correctly. And meanwhile, I've got this other thing called ChatGPT. I bet auto accidents would go down dramatically if Siri worked, right? I mean, like they should get that stuff working first. And once they get that working, of course, it's a no-brainer. Like if you are the search window, and one of the ways that this might happen, by the way, is if it turns out that OpenAI monetizes search better than Google. And right now, they definitely don't, because this is the point. It's like they are monetizing with a subscription, and all of the searches they don't make any money from on an incremental search. They lose money. It actually costs them money. It costs them electricity and water and all these other things to go serve up and do, inference. But if it turns out like Apple gets paid tens of billions of dollars a year from Google to be the default in that little Safari search icon. Like if you don't type a URL and you type a word, guess what? That goes to Google, and then Google shares a big chunk of their revenue from the monetizing search queries back with Apple. If it turned out that OpenAI could do that, wow, like they would switch from Google to OpenAI, no brainer. But like right now, it's too nascent for them to do that. So to answer your question, I think no brainer, yes, but I think the order of operations were like make the AI stuff actually functional, and then get into the hardcore monetization, or kind of the no brainer monetization, which to me is a lot of the commerce stuff.
Last question. Do you think the agents, like maybe they skip some of this coupon code because it's like so inefficient, and maybe they just negotiate? There's a buyer and seller and they kind of negotiate. And then we've been predicting, and I think A16 or Mark made an investment in a group buy like 15, 20 years ago. There's been group buying things all along. I could see agents like start to kind of say, hey, you and Alex are both looking for an 8 sleep. What if you're connected through this, social graph? What if you went together and said, hey, if you buy 2 of these and we glom on some friends and suddenly we negotiate a 20% discount or something?
Yeah, I can see that coming. I mean, I think the thing that's exciting now is that when I was running TrialPay, I mean, we were pretty big. We had billions of dollars of GMV go through us. Like, probably 15 million consumers did something with us every month. It was an interesting business, but convincing merchants to do things that made sense for them. Like I hated these coupon things. It's like we were actually accretive to a merchant. We were sending net new customers. And meanwhile, Retail Me Not, I hate that company. They don't even exist anymore. But like Retail Me Not would steal the last click. I mean, and you'd have these dumb merchants that were like, oh, I love Retail Me Not. They're sending me so many customers because they were confused between correlation and causation. Like they didn't realize that, like, no, they weren't sending you any customers. You already had the customers and you're just paying them to send you your own customers. The thing that's actually very, very interesting to me about ChatGPT going from like 0 to 700 million weekly active users or whatever crazy number, it's like 1/10 of the earth uses this product now. And every merchant is like, holy moly, I have to do something here. So they will be able to dictate what should the interface be? What should the attribution be? I think you'll actually be able to rewrite some of these things, not by happenstance, but kind of like, you know how like New York has Central Park because it was centrally planned. And like you go to Boston and the streets are all like, confused like that. I love Boston, but it's like there's a certain benefit to order and orderliness, because navigating streets that have names that make sense and like a central area, like that could be better. So my estimation would be there are kind of three things that are going to happen. You're going to have the big head of commerce, and those guys will play ball instantly. Because if Home Depot is second to being on ChatGPT and Lowe's is first, like Home Depot CEO is in trouble. So the big head of commerce, they will get behind this right away. Then there's the kind of like middle part, which is all wrapped up under the, Shopify's and the Magentos and the big commerces of the world. Well, they have the platform to lean on, so they're going to integrate with this right away. And then that kind of leaves the long tail. And the long tail will be the one that's a little bit more idiosyncratic. But I think things will get rewired pretty quickly, just because you have this giant gorilla or even set of gorillas and so much potential commerce up for grabs. It's going to be fascinating to watch.
I agree, and I promised you we'd be out on time, so I'm going to call it there. Leave them wanting more. That was excellent, and hope to get you back on after you write your next piece to get you to talk about it.
All right. Really appreciate it, Scott.
Appreciate it, Alex.
Follow, rate, and share to stay up to date with Retailgentic, your guide to the future of AI shopping agents.